Welcome to the Agent of Wealth podcast with Marc Bautis from Bautis Financial. In this podcast, Marc helps guide you towards financial freedom, ensure you never run out of money, and create a balance in life that prioritizes what is most important to you. Join us for this journey as Marc draws from years of expertise and guest experts to solve the multiple wealth building challenges involved in your financial life.
Welcome back to the Agent of Wealth. This is your host, Marc Bautis. Buying a home is one of the biggest investments many people will make. But what if that dream home is hiding risks you can't see? Today, I'm joined by Bob Frady, serial entrepreneur and founder of PropertyLens, a company helping homebuyers identify hidden dangers in real estate before they become costly mistakes. Bob previously led Hazard Hub, where he helped transform the way insurers assess over 1,200 data elements related to property risk. Now with PropertyLens, he's bringing that data-driven approach directly to consumers and buyers. In this episode, we'll discuss what most people overlook in the home buying process, the true cost of hidden hazards, and how to make smarter, safer investments in real estate. Bob, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Marc, and pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's start off with you. How did your career evolve from starting Hazard Hub to going more onto the consumer side with PropertyLens?
Well, my career has always been, I was never that guy who thought he could lead a company. I thought I would always be somebody's number two. And what kept happening is I kept getting fired. So after the fourth time I got fired, I met up with my co-founder, who I've known for a long time. And he said, we should do something together. And then I became an entrepreneur. So we started Hazard Hub because we knew geospatial data very well. We knew the risk industry very well. And we said, there's a better way to do this. And so we just brought a lot of modern technology to a very dated platform and built the company. We bootstrapped it. And then after 6 years of growth, somebody came along and said, here's a nice check. And we took it because there's nothing wrong with making a profit.
Yeah.
But then when, they tell you not to do anything rash when you sell your company. And so what do? We bought a house here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And when we looked at this house, there were things that I knew about this house that weren't disclosed. Like I knew there was a radon issue. I knew there might be a little bit of a flooding concern. I knew that they had some ice dams. And I probably knew that there's some lead paint in the place. I looked for lack of a better words, Carfax for houses, and there wasn't one. And so I used this data to get a pretty good savings off the price of the house. And I thought, why doesn't everybody have this? So, we built it. And here we are. And trying to bring the good word to consumers as well as to realtors and to insurance companies and inspection companies.
Is the goal that the buyer or the consumer, they would use a report or have a report generated during their process before they make an offer on it to kind of get a feel, like before they go down that road of having the offer accepted, attorney review, getting an inspection done, where the costs start before maybe they could uncover some of the risk or know what they're dealing with?
Sure, that's exactly the goal. Right now, sellers know this much about a house, and buyers kind of know this much. And what we're trying to do is to shrink that gap so that buyers know more. You still need to get an inspection. You still want to do all that stuff. But the experience that we had in buying this house was we knew going in what questions to ask based upon the data. And so when we made that decision to buy, and there were some risks here that we knew about, we were very comfortable because we knew what we were getting ourselves into, which is why we offer a little bit less on the price of the house. Now, not everybody has that flexibility, but it's all designed to highlight what you're getting yourself into before you fall in love with the place. Because what happens now is you walk into a house and the agents are all trying to get you to close on this house, and you put your earnest money up, and then you get an inspection and you hope that something gets uncovered. And what we've discovered is that inspectors do a good job, but they also miss quite a few things that we measure that they don't, like the environmental risks, the roof condition, the age of the system. So, yeah, exactly. It's designed to give you a pregame analysis of the house so that you feel comfortable when you finally do make that decision to put your hard-earned money down on a house.
So maybe you can take us through an example. What type of information would be on a report that's generated?
There is a ton of different types of information, and this is the same information that insurance companies use to evaluate your house. So we'll look at building permits, we'll look at weather events that have happened, we'll look at, has this house previously been damaged in an event, whether it's a wildfire, a wind event, hail, tornado, flood. Where are the flood zones? What are the age and condition of the systems? What does the roof look like? What's the life expectancy on that roof? What's the replacement cost of that roof? We look at how much you should expect to spend in repairs over the next couple of years. And then we'll have a lot of neighborhood information like where's the nearest fire station, which is important for insurance. Where's the nearest hospital? What's the noise like in the neighborhood? Are there sex offenders around your house? What's the crime like around that location? So we had 1,200 elements before. We've got 2,000 elements now that we then pull them all together, run a bunch of rules past them, run some AI past it to try to say, here's the questions you should be asking for this specific location.
If we take like the roof as an example, and I looked at the sample report that you have, and one of the things that identified, potentially this roof is X amount of years old, and it said also that it's made of shingles. Is that type of data coming from a building permit, from like a picture in the listing? How are you, like just looking at that specifically, how are you getting that type of data?
It's eyes in the sky. So we partner with the company that flies over the U.S. several times per year and takes images for insurance companies. So they sell that to an insurance company. So if you get a letter from your insurance company saying that your roof is X, then a lot of times that comes from aerial imagery. We capture that same type of imagery. We treat it a bit differently because we combine it with permit information and we combine it with real estate listing descriptions to try to figure out exactly how old this roof is. And then we measure the condition and we measure how much it would cost to be replaced, et cetera, et cetera.
And like some of those other things that you talked about, that isn't going to come up in an inspection report. How close is it to a firehouse, or there's sex offenders nearby? And I imagine that data is publicly available, but how you have a way of actually doing this at scale where you're not like physically looking for each individual report. That data is available where you can pull it. I guess you can automate the process of pulling that data.
Correct. One of the things that we're really good at is we're really good at data wrangling. So we have built a fire station database. We've built a fire hydrant database. We've built flood zones. We've built rivers and streams databases. Now, sometimes they come from the government. Sometimes it's a variety of different sources that we have to pull them all together. But that's what we do. And we have that in our data stack. So when you put in an address, it just runs out, gets the data, and pulls it back in. And it does that, 2,000 times to pull all the data back in together and then create the report from there.
I guess the goal of this for the user is they get this report back and they can say, oh no, I don't want to deal with this. This is a no-go. We're going to just move on.
There's really three outcomes. The first is that the report is clean. The systems are updated, the permits are current, the roof is in good condition because people have been taking good care of the house. And really that's what we call our peace of mind factor. So, because you don't know what you're getting into, having this report can give you that level of peace of mind. The second is when you just say, no, I don't want to deal with this. There's an undisclosed problem, and if I ask certain questions, then it gets disclosed. What else are they hiding? I may not be comfortable in buying that house. And then the third is, this house has some issues. I love it. I want to buy it. Maybe I negotiate, maybe I don't. Now, in a hot market, sometimes you have trouble negotiating. And sometimes you have to waive your inspection contingency, which makes a PropertyLens report even more important. But that's the third bucket. That's the bucket we like the most. It's like you understand that the property has issues, and you do it anyway because you know what those issues are and you're comfortable with those issues, and you still make the decision to do it. That, to me, is the best informed decision that a buyer can make.
And how is the engagement? Is it with the buyer? Does the realtor license this and make it available to buyers, or are you strictly going, I guess, to the buyer?
It's both, really. We target the buyers, but in targeting the buyers, we have come across a number of realtors who like to use this service as part of their service. So they say, we're going to make sure that before you make an offer on a place that you're comfortable with it by giving you a PropertyLens report and discussing it with you. So it's a little bit of both. We give people the ability to come in directly because sometimes you might not have an agent. If you're shopping for houses and you go, here's 3 or 4 I want to take a look at, let's pull the reports and see what's what. You might not have an agent at that point. So you don't have to use an agent to get this. You can get it yourself.
How do you minimize inaccuracies with the data? I know anytime you're analyzing a large amount of data and you're automating and it's coming from different sources, there's always the chance that it'll come back with some inaccurate analysis. How do you, one, find out that there was some inaccuracy, and then how do you go about correcting it or improving it for going forward?
There's a few different ways. There's the current way and then there's the future way. Listen, if something is wrong on the report, people let us know something's wrong. So we'll go in, fact check, we'll see what's what. Like we had an issue yesterday where the roof, because of the way the property was positioned on the lot, the roof wasn't as accurate as it could have been. So we fixed that problem and reran the report and sent it back out to the user. So we have a very robust customer support team. The second type of data is data that people don't like the answer to. We'll tell you when there have been hailstorms in your area or wind events in your area. And sometimes there's a lot. And people are like, I don't remember that. And that's just the way the data is. That's not correctable because there's no need to correct it. People just disagree with it. And then finally, so we're always working to improve our extraction methods, to improve our data processing methods, to improve everything that we do. Because it's not easy to say, here's an address, now go find everything about this address. So we're constantly working on it. And then finally, if you don't like the report, we'll give you your money back. So it's not as, I don't love that answer. I mean, nobody loves that answer. But at the same time, it's like, okay, if you don't like it, then you get your money back.
Do you ever see the seller using this as well to kind of prepare for the sale?
That's what we call our PropertyLens 301. Those are the advanced students. So yeah, we do see sellers using it on occasion where when they're going to list their house, they want to know what all the data says about their house. So because whether it's us using it or an insurance company using it or somebody else using it, this data exists in a lot of different places. So they'll run a report to say, here's the things that the report is telling me need to be handled, and I can do one of two things. The first is I can edit the description of the listing to show what's been done. For example, not every place requires building permits to make changes to your property. So what you do instead is you say in the description, roof replaced in 2024, HVAC system replaced in 2022. And we'll read that real estate description and make it part of our analysis to try to give the most accurate information possible. And then finally, you just leave the report on a desk and say, hey, take a look at it if you want to.
What's the time frame it takes to actually generate one of these? Is it someone orders one and clicks a button and it's spit back immediately? Or is there it takes 3 days to assemble all this information into a report?
It's about a minute and a half. That's the tricky part. We pulling all that stuff together is not simple, but that's what we've done on the back end. We've architected the system to make sure that everything works as quickly as we can. Now, gathering the data is one step. Analyzing that data is a second step, and it takes a little bit more time. So about on average, it's about a minute and a half to 2 minutes per report.
So there's no human that actually takes a look at like this report before it hits the consumer.
Correct. But we look at these reports every single day. We run hundreds of test reports to say, is there anything weird in here? Because we've all been home buyers before. Is there anything weird in here that we can dive into and take a look at? And so a lot of our pre-release development was, let's go into properties that we know, let's pull the data together and see what we see so we feel comfortable with putting that product out there.
You mentioned some of the new things coming up, like the 3.01 version. What else do you see as the future of data analysis in the real estate field?
So there's two things that we're working on. The first is what we call a homeowner portal. Because not every place requires, we think that the best cared for properties should get the highest price. And what we see a lot of times is when people do renovation, they'll take pictures of the invoice and stick it in the pictures of the listing. We want them to have the ability to say, if you've done a repair or made an improvement, you just upload the receipt, we'll read it, and we'll add it to the timeline to show exactly what was done. The second part of that is when you are touring a house, right now the report is, the first I is called information. It's an information report. So given all the information and given our analysis, here's the information about this property. Well, sometimes, as we all know, that information may not be as correct as it could be. Maybe they don't make their permits publicly available, or maybe it's in a format that we just can't access just yet. So we'll give people the ability to say, the actual roof date is this, the actual HVAC system is this, and update that data. That's more of a data interaction. So the user, as they're walking through a property, can ask the seller, hey, have you had an issue? Yes or no? We click no, it goes into the data repo. And then the last part is you take your phone and you walk through the house and you do a little pre-inspection. So take a picture of we'll guide you through it, but take a picture of any questionable walls to look for water leakage or mold. Take a picture of the electrical panel to see if it's still in code or whether it needs to be replaced. Take a picture of the gutters to see, are they positioned properly? So lots and lots of things that we can do down the line that really use the fact that you're walking around the property so we can tell you more about that property.
This is the buyer that's walking around the property with their...
The buyer or the agent, or the homeowner. Whomever wants to use this, we don't discriminate. So if you're a homeowner or a buyer or an agent, you can all use the tool you will all be able to use the tool to help get more information out there.
Well, all right, Bob, that's all the questions I have for you today. I want to thank you for joining me on today's episode. It's been really informative. Before we wrap up, where best can listeners go to learn more about PropertyLens and the work that you're doing?
www.propertylens.com. If you want to reach me personally, it's Bob at PropertyLens. I'm always happy to talk to people. If you have questions, then just reach out.
Great. We'll include that in the resources section of the show notes. Thanks again, Bob, and thank you to everyone who tuned in today. Don't forget to follow the Agent of Wealth on the platform you listen from and leave us a review of the show. We're currently accepting new clients, and if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one consultation with our advisors, please do so at bautisfinancial.com/call.
Thank you for listening to the Agent of Wealth podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered represents the views and opinions of the guests and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Bautis Financial. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial planning and investment advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investments and financial planning.